good people. Here we are once again. Your boys, When Men Speak. And I got with me tonight Mr. Markeith Merritt,
What's
Eminem,
up?
Brother Bernard Chapman, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Cleveland. So, fellas, we are diving in once again tonight, picking up where we left off on the importance of safe space, creating a safe space. So, Brother Markeith,
Yes, sir.
kick us off, brother.
Yes, Lord. Hey, so for those of you that tuned in the last live episode we had, it was really good. We had the females on here. You know what I'm saying? It got a little hot and heavy, but we got some we got some things addressed, and we got a understanding from both sides of the importance of creating safe spaces. What we want, being that we don't have the females on tonight, we got just the fellas, and we're gonna talk about desiring a safe space with the person you're involved in with your significant other. Tonight we're gonna talk about safe spaces with significant others. All right. Probably the week after next, we're gonna probably talk about parenting and the importance of creating a safe space as a parent. But tonight we're gonna go into basically talking about the lack of having a safe space, what it did or what it allowed us to revert to or go into, and what we used or what we did to cope with not having a safe space. So when y'all hear me say that, what's the first thing come to mind or situation come to mind for y'all brothers, man?
First thing that comes to mind for me is instinct. I think that we are driven by instinct, and we are driven by our nature. We're designed a certain way, and our nature caters to how we are. I was talking to a brother last night, and he was literally telling me how his dad beat him for. He was very young, and he was enticed, by another young lady, and he found himself in a compromising position at the church. And he was like, his dad, really got onto him and really whooping like we got whoopings. And he said that his dad beat him because of the embarrassment. And my counter to that was, I would rather it had been because you were at church and this happened versus that your dad was embarrassed, because we are driven by instinct. And as men, we are created to have desires.
Right.
And we are created, our natures are just geared that way. So what comes to mind for me, when it comes to this is I need to be free with my instinct. Who I'm created to be, who I'm with has to be all right with that. Now, I'm not saying that it's all me and less of them, but I am saying that I need to be free enough to be free enough, right? Like if when I feel comfortable, then we can begin to shape and mold this thing into what it should be, as she should. But never should there be a time where I should be embarrassed because of who I am and how I'm made by God. That should never be the case. And so once we get comfortable in that space because of who we are and how we are, I think we open up those places where we're more vulnerable. Once you show me that I'm okay with my sex drive, I'm okay with, my work ethic, I'm okay with my prayer life. If I have one, I don't. I'm okay in this area. Once you show me that, then you can open up the box and I show you more of myself, right? But it should never be. I should never be ridiculed or criticized because of how I'm built. So once that's established first, we can go somewhere else, and that's where the foundation is. In my opinion, of how you begin to build and create that space. I look at Chiefs, man, like perfect example. You know what I mean? By design, it's who you are, and look at Tanya, man, and what you guys created. it's beautiful now. But in the beginning, right, it had to be. I had to reveal myself. I had to show, hey, this is me. And she took that and she built it into something amazing. She shaped it like a potter's wheel into something amazing. And that's where it all begins. So, I'll hand it over to y'all.
Man, it's funny you mentioned that because as you were talking, I started thinking about when that it was every single time. Back then it was every time. Every time I would preach, man.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know me. I'm transparent. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
I shared everything.
Right.
I overshared. Now, at this point, when I look back on it.
Right.
And that bothered my wife to no end. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She would always say, Mr. Hayward, you ain't got to tell them everything. You ain't got to share everything. Like, all our business don't need to be put out there like that.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, we would always get couples that would come to us and tell us they were struggling in this area. They were dealing with this and dealing with the things that I had shared.
Yeah.
They were feeling like, man, is it just us? Like, are we the only ones going through this?
Yeah.
But I knew that, but the place where my wife was at the time in her spirituality, in her relationship, she wasn't there to the point where she understood that it was our testimony and we were helping people.
Uh-huh.
We're there now. She's there now, but back then it was a struggle, man.
Yeah.
I was just being who I am.
Right.
I'm just being who God created me to be. That's all I knew. And it was a struggle for me, man, not to share or testify to what he had brought us through or what we were going through. And man, it was so hard. And I was like, man, you supposed to be my safe space. You supposed to be, like, yeah, babe, I mean, but, and so that took us a long time to overcome that. What we have now is built off of where we come from and what we grew from and what we've grown into. But I was sharing with Markeith earlier when we were conversing prior to the call on some of the things that
hey, real quick before you go into that though. What we saying? So what I'm hearing, right, is the majority of us fear being vulnerable and and fear being transparent and don't want people to see us in the light of who we really are, the light of our humanity, of what we really going through. Is that kind of sort of what we kind of saying?
The bad part about what you just said is the only time I felt that way is when at the more and more I got into church. That's when I really felt like, man, I can't really show them, who I really am. I got to be a certain way around certain people and I realize now it's because of where they are, not me. It wasn't me, it was them. But I never felt that way outside of church. Only when I started going to church, consistently and start being involved and a part of the leadership did I feel that way, which is sad.
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't have to. But outside of that, man, I've always been open and transparent and honest about who I am.
That's you, but my question is cause that's you, and I've always been that type of individual too, right? That's you, but I'm saying the majority of people, for instance, your spouse, most of the people that we are around, even though we go in more than the circle of church.
No doubt. Yeah, I think I can honestly say the majority of people, yes, I think I can honestly say the majority of people, yeah, aren't that way.
Hey, real quick, were you guys able to share and share?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was. Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts, Chap?
I think that unchurched people aren't that way. I think unchurched people are more open. I think unchurched people are more accepting to wherever you are when they meet you. I think church people are very difficult to break into, because that's what religion does to people, and it's hard to translate marriage, you
So
know, by by the way of church, because it's hard to put what they're saying into my house and into my bank and into my bed. Those aren't easy things to do. And so, like Chiefs was saying, when couples came to them, they were shocked because how do you translate that? It's a different language when you come from a brick and mortar church and try to bring it into your house and learn how to be okay with that. And when you are outside of the church, which is, I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but I think people are in there in how they think, they're more receptive. And when you are in the church and you try to do these things, people reject the notion, those kind of notions of you being who you are in the bed, or who you are and how you spend, or who you are and how your thoughts are and how transparent you are. It's going to rub people. And it's not because you're wrong. It's because they've been churched,
so
and that's kind of what religion does to you. It churches you and boxes you in, and kind of holds you up from actually being free. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not speaking against the church. I'm just speaking from experience with the church.
man, you ain't even gotta put that disclaimer out there. So check it. If that's the case, though, why is it, whether you're church or unchurched, why is it that we having a problem creating the safe space and can't really receive things and hear what us men are saying in relationships when we're just giving you truth?
So look at it like this, man. Think about when you first meet someone,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say somebody you're interested in dating, or getting to know better. When we talked about this before on the show, when you first meet that person, you meet their representative.
Yeah.
On both sides, you don't get the full person. You don't get who they
Right.
truly are,
Come on.
because most people feel like if I show you who I truly am,
Yep.
rip, you probably
Yep.
gonna run away, because
Yep.
most of us come with baggage. We come with stuff, and we come with all this other. So the person you first meet is probably the representative. So I think that's probably true for most people. So even more so for church folks, because they got to put the mask on, because I can't, I
Yeah.
need you to think I'm all prim and proper and all,
Yeah.
in order.
Yeah.
But most people, man, when you meet the representative at first, because I got to get to know you before I can feel comfortable
Yeah.
enough or safe enough to show you
Right.
who I truly am, and without running you off.
Right.
I got
Right.
to warm you up to that.
Right.
Right. That's a gimme. But when we done establish this relationship, when we
You
done
didn't say that.
and then the layers been pulled back, you know what I'm saying? Why after all this time, why can't I still be vulnerable with you and be truthful with you where I am? When you understand my heart is pure and my heart is with you. Why? What's the issue? Why can't men, you know what I'm saying, speak truth? Why can't men be vulnerable like they want to be with women?
Well,
I mean, that's church, that's church, unchurched, whatever. I mean, that's in relationship, period. No matter, whether you church or unchurched.
it's relationships are like investments. How aggressive do you want to be? With your risk. And so it's not going to always be the other person's fault that you're not as vulnerable as you want to be. Men in general, it's harder to crack that egg than it is for women. Women will open up to you a lot easier than a man will. My mom created a beautiful space for my dad, and he never showed her. Uh, he never revealed himself, his naked Garden of Eden self, his Adam. He never revealed that to her, and I believe that had he been conditioned to be that person, then they would have been a lot better. But he wasn't conditioned to be that man. And it wasn't because she didn't create a space for him to be that man. She loved him. I think that she died because of heartbreak, because she died right after him. So I don't believe that it's a one-sided thing when it comes to safe space. I think that you have to be courageous enough to open yourself for one, right? And then on the other side of that, that person has to be accepting enough or has revealed themselves enough to show you that it's okay. And if you really want to be better for you, even if that person doesn't show you it's okay, you have to understand that even if they don't think it's okay, I need them to know who I am. And whatever they do with that after that, at least they see me. Right? When I walked away from, let me say I walked away. When my marriage ended, I had no regrets. But because it wasn't because I didn't put myself on the table. That wasn't the case. It's because I put myself on the table and nothing changed. And so it's not a one-sided thing when we talk about safe spaces. My dad, on the other hand, my mom created a beautiful space for him, and he never revealed himself in vulnerability, ever. He revealed himself through hard work, working long hours, being that man that was gone, showing up just enough to be relevant, but he never revealed himself to the point to where, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, or this is what I've gone through. He never showed that to her. And it's not to say that she didn't give him the room to do it. So it's a two-headed coin. Like you have to be, as a man, you have to be courageous enough to say, hey, I'm going to do this. And then your mate has to be able to say, let me create this so they can be that person. So
I agree with that. I agree with that
Yeah.
whole. However,
Comma.
what I'm talking about those of us who are trying to be vulnerable, who
Yeah.
are trying to be upstanding,
Yeah.
who are trying to communicate our heart.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Like what's so hard about like receiving truth for what it is? I seen this thing about on TikTok about how a woman said that man can go to a woman and tell her give her his greatest secret and be vulnerable with her, and she would turn around and make it all about her.
Well,
Not
that's
seeing
Bible.
last time we talked on not hearing the heart of the man, but because she's triggered by what he said or how he said it,
Right.
which in turn causes him. We're gonna talk about this with Chancey too, and as well as you, which in turn cause him to not be vulnerable anymore and not communicate.
Okay.
And for some people, it has caused them, again, we talked about this, to go step out and to deal with and create, well, not necessarily safe spaces for themselves, but cope with elsewhere.
So Samson and Delilah, right? She made it all about her, and he made it all about intrigue, because that kept her interested in him, the version of himself that he wanted her to see. So the riddles, it wasn't about him not wanting to impose himself. It was, he knew that this is the only way I can keep her. Y'all with me? It wasn't about him. I'm gonna present these riddles to Delilah, because if I don't, I can't keep her. And a lot of men find themselves in that place where if I don't be this version, I can't keep her. Now, the other side of Solomon, he had so many skills, so much anointing. This dude was it, but he never revealed that self just because of his anointing. He never revealed that he was anointed like this. He always riddled about his strength. He knew that this is the only way I'm going to keep this woman. And today, 2024, we're still living with that Solomon, that Samson syndrome. Like, this is the version of myself that I need to give to her in order for her to stay, in order for him to stay. And the hardest thing we have to do is get to the other side of that, so a person can really see who you are. And that's where that space is that you're talking about, because it's not easy. As you know, I don't care how much money you make, or you know, how much you can bench press, or whatever your thing is. You know, a lot of times we go through so much that if I don't present this version to her, then I'm gonna lose her.
So
I'm gonna lose him.
just
And that's
so
that Samson syndrome.
like just like you said in the beginning, it's like how much you want to risk. Like
Yeah,
the stake high. Either
yeah,
you all
yeah,
in
right.
and willing to just risk it all
Yeah,
and give
yeah,
all yourself,
yeah,
scary
right,
already anyway.
right,
It's
right.
already scary for me to just be vulnerable. I just want to, when people be saying, I just want to give you all of me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you really handle all of me.
yeah, right.
You hear women
And
say that all the time.
and she couldn't handle all of him. I don't know why we're going here, but I thank God she couldn't handle him, because in every situation where there was a riddle, there was also a place of bondage, also a place of hostage, also a place where she hindered him from either seeing or moving. Right?
Why? And you're saying that's because she couldn't receive all of him.
Yeah. So she wasn't ready for that version of him where he could actually have vision, or he could actually move. She was only ready for the version of him, or only wanted the version of him that she connected with in the beginning, where love looked like lust. That's the only version of of Samson that she wanted. She didn't want the version where he could move them forward, or she had vision. So she always blindfolded him, or she always tied him up, right? And that's what the toxicity of relationships, they do that. When it's toxic and you're looking for something, I feel like I got to keep you, and I'm going to be this way. And even when I'm trying, that person is either going to blindfold you with manipulation, right? Or they're either going to, you know, tie your hands or your feet so you can't move. You feel like if I move and I say what's right and I do what's right, they're going to have a problem with it. So we stay tied up, or we stay blindfolded, you know? And so we stay in that place versus saying, I don't need no blindfold today. Give me my shoes, right? So we stay there versus actually being who and what we're supposed to be, regardless of the vote, right? We stay in that place, because if I don't, then I'm going to find myself alone. Samson, I keep saying Solomon. Samson was a strong man, but he was weak at heart, right? And, you know, truth be told, a lot of us deal with that Samson syndrome. We stay where we are because for the sake of who we're with, we know if I'm really my true self, then I might lose them. So I don't want to be vulnerable because I'll lose.
And everything that's attached to them.
Yep.
Go ahead, bro. You bubbling. Go ahead.
Man, listen here, boy. This thing here, boy. Oh my God. Teaching to open a can of worms, bro. So check this, man. When you are, God Almighty, when you are so encapsulated in being someone else for them, trying to keep them, and you're not being true and authentic to yourself, you're killing you
That's what I
so
want
they
to
can
know.
live. You know what I mean? But all the while you're killing yourself so they can live,
they're still dying.
they're still dying because, and here is the reason why. Here's the reason why. This is more important. I don't want to say more important, but this is really critical when you start dating someone, as opposed to when you've already been in a relationship with someone for a long time. There's a different strategy there, but I just had somebody come to my office this today. He just started dating this young lady, and he sat down and he was like, he said, Mr. Hayward, I can't do relationships. He's been retired, living good, doing good on his own, good life, debt free, good brother, be a good catch for a young lady. Done his work, knows himself, done did that look in the mirror, identified his own areas, done worked on himself to be. He's ready to be a husband.
Right.
Found this young lady he's interested in, and I think they probably been seeing each other for about 2 months now. He comes to my office. He said, "I can't do a relationship, Mr. Hayward." I said, "What's going on, bro?" He says, she got too much stuff going on, and I'm not ready to invest my time in someone who hasn't taken the time to do their work like I did mine. Because now, like as I told him, like I tell everybody else, you got one or two options. You can walk alongside them as they walk down their journey of work, or you can walk away. It's up to you. You get to make the choice. So he's like, yeah, but only when you've done your work and you've spent that time with yourself and you've worked on yourself and made your weaknesses your strength and done all that hard work.
Yeah.
Are you in a position to now identify someone who hadn't done those things?
Right.
But also say, you know what? I'd rather be by myself than to walk with somebody through that, because I didn't do that to you. And I'm not going to pay the price for what somebody else did for the sake of being with you. When you do your work and you get to that place, come holler at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand where he is in that, but it's when you've invested in yourself like that, it's hard to walk through somebody else who. So if why would you want to wait till you get yoked with me to want to now say, okay, I'm ready to do my work because I got somebody beside me? No, I didn't do that to you. So don't wait till you get here, because how do I know you're gonna really do it?
Right.
You may just half-ass it because for the sake of tagging me along, and you might do a little something now, and then you get complacent and you fall back, and here I am, like a year in, 2 years in, 3 years in.
Yeah.
She still, or they still making, if I say something, okay, you tighten up for a little while, then you go back. But all the while, I'm 1, 2, 3 years in. I've done my work, but now you tagging me along. Now, if you already in a relationship, you already married.
Hold on. You gotta be married, just in a relationship for a while, right?
Well, you already in a relationship for a while. Okay, you've been in a relationship for a while now. You got to understand this. When you got into a relationship, you had to learn how to cohabitate with one another. We both came into this thing with our own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the midst of that, let's say you on a path or a journey to become a better version of yourself. Mm-hmm. But you don't see that same drive and motivation and pursuit for it with them as you are. Still, you got the same choice. You either can walk alongside them or you can walk away. It's the same choice.
Right.
So now go back to what you said, Myriad, about risk, or a chap about risk. Am I willing to take the risk in walking away, or am I willing to take the risk in staying, hoping that they're going to invest the time and the work and the work ethic to become a better version of themselves? That's the challenge that most people that's in relationship that are kind of one-sided now are facing. That risk of walking away or the risk of staying, hoping that things are going to get better.
So,
yeah.
So one thing I want to say real quick now.
Come on.
We just talked about dying on the inside, right? And trying to grow and all these things. But now we always talking about we supposed to be sacrificial. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that we talk about. Talking about Christ, so loved the world that he gave his life for it.
Come on with it.
You know what I'm saying? And their husbands or significant others is supposed to do the same for the people that they're linked with. So how long am I supposed to sacrifice in this context? How long am I supposed to sacrifice myself and die to myself while I'm dying? I'm not just literally dying when we talk about dying to myself, doing what I want to do. Dying to myself of becoming who I need to becoming who and being fully who I am. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
you telling me, you know what I'm saying, that I'm supposed to sacrifice it all the way to death? Come on now. And then now I become unequally yoked. Come on now.
Yeah.
And so
So
I'm coming to you, sharing. I'm coming to you, sharing my heart to you in love, letting you know that you have my heart, and I want to share with you my life, my struggles, for you to cover me, not for you to be upset and be triggered, but for you to cover me and understand that I'm out here struggling instead of you
so
getting mad about it.
it's not easily done, but two things here. The value of progress has to be greater than your value of maintaining. It has to be greater. Like, and that's it. The value of progress has to be more valuable to that person than the value of just maintaining, just existing. I was in my garage a couple nights ago, and God spoke to me about below average grades. And in short, the lesson was about knowing that you're smarter and you're better, and you're failing at things that you know you're good at. And one of those things should be life, because he said, what? I came that you would have life, and life more abundantly, not just in one facet of life, but in every facet of life. There should be abundance. We are built to thrive. And so our value, our desire to thrive, it has to become greater than our value of just maintaining. And what I found is that when you choose to thrive over maintaining, they're either going to come with you because they see you're serious right now, and not just, oh, just he just being who he is. Once you show them that, oh, this Negro is serious, right? They only have two options. I'm gonna either grow and go, I'm gonna stay and play. Those are the only options. But to your question, your value of progress has to be greater than your value of just keeping a whole pattern in life. Because for a year passed, another year passed, and you still
Right,
in the whole pattern. Go ahead.
right. So now I'm just interjecting a little bit
Yeah,
as you go, because
yeah,
I know your situation. So
yes.
you maintained for a minute to the
Mhm.
point to where you were dying and other things transpired. I think we might end up talking about that another way, but another time in
Mhm.
depth. But certain which caused other things to happen in reference to you. But when you made the decision, I got to cut this off. That was one of the hardest decisions you made, bro. You were going through it. You were
Absolutely,
trying to hold on to that thing, bro. You were trying
absolutely.
to do it and
Yeah,
maintain because you were struggling, because
yeah.
you knew what God said. You were struggling like God, like, come on now, come on. But when you made that decision, now think about the
Mhm.
maintaining and dying.
Yeah.
When you made that decision, bro, you lost something. Your daughter, which was closest to you, bro, you lost. You didn't only just lose the spouse that you had or your significant other. It was the other person that was connected to him that was dear to your heart, bro. That
Mhm.
you that not was sacrificed, that was impacted as well. That relationship was severed.
Yeah. Right. I'm waiting on the question. I don't know what you're asking.
What I'm saying, you talked about you got to make a decision.
Yeah.
But so now you can understand why some people still maintain and still die within themselves, because
Okay.
they want.
So so I had no regrets. I said that in the beginning of it. I had no regrets because I know what I brought to the table. I know the work I put in, and I I I understood my value, and my patience and my love is what kept me there. I was never in a rush to leave. It was never a desire to leave. But again, I'm built with needs, right? We are built by design. God designed us to be this way. And so your needs need to be met, or they're going to override your life. That's just life. And I stayed in that because my hope was like there will be change. But my need exceeded my hope. And I knew like this is gonna be too overwhelming. I didn't lose my daughter. I had to um I had to love her in a different position of my life. I didn't lose her. Did it hurt? Absolutely. You know, when you divorce somebody that you've been with for a long time, it's like a spiritual funeral. You mourn for that person, you know, because you've been with that person for a long time. But um, it wasn't. I understood my tolerance level. It like you know it ran over, and so I reached a point where I understood that you know I'm dying inside of this thing. And when you have that realization, that's why when you have people in domestic violence situations, all you can do is suggest that they get out. But until they take it to that point to where they had enough, there won't be any change. And
Right.
so when you talk about, you know, things like this and toxicity, it's like a spiritual domestic violence. And you understand, or an emotional domestic violence, you understand that it's only until I get enough of this that I'm out. And you understand the kids because you know y'all know me and my daughter. I'm very close. I was very close, and I understood the risk of what it took. But I also understood that I was losing myself in the process.
Go
I
ahead.
want to I want to key in on something she said, man, that I think is critical, bro, for a lot of people that's in this position. He said, as it relates to his daughter, he said, I didn't lose. I just had to love her from a different position.
Yeah.
I want you to think about that for a minute. Think about that. For those of you guys who are in relationships, whether it's a you living with your baby mama, your baby daddy, and you're having issues, or you're married and you're having issues, or you're dating someone. Listen, sometimes when people refuse to get the help that they need, refuse to do the work that's required to become a better version of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to maintain your own sanity,
Yeah.
peace,
Yeah.
joy, on all of those things that it takes to keep you going,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to learn how to love people from a different position.
Yeah.
Yes, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna cause pain. That's
Yeah.
part of the process. But at the end of the day, you don't lose yourself
Yeah.
because of what they refuse to do. You just
Yeah.
gotta learn how to love from a different position. I like that, Chief. I
Yeah.
like that. And I think that's gonna help some folks right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So all right, we got 20 minutes. So check this out. Um um uh Kurt, you gonna be the first on this. All right, so we're gonna go back because you was about to tell us about it. So the lack of having a safe space and what that did to you. You was kind of going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So do you go ahead?
Yeah. So early on, this is something that you learn, man. You got to grow and mature and develop, man, and all kinds of stuff. And we got married very young. So I had a lot of. I wasn't. See, here's how it gets tricky. I wasn't cheating. I didn't step out on my wife physically or intimately, relationally. But I entertained women in the sense that I, I had women that I could talk to about things that caused tension with my wife, and I'm gonna try to talk to her about it. When you talk about safe spaces, I couldn't talk to her about certain things, but there were women that I could talk to who understood, who could relate to what I'm saying, who could appreciate what I'm saying,
Yeah.
could handle what I'm saying, and so there'll always be that, because the enemy will put those people in your place, so I always had that around, and it made me feel good because, like you say, you got to get that stuff out. You gotta release those things. You gotta
Yeah.
be able to get it out.
Yeah.
But in doing so, now 180 that created tension, with mama. Cause why you
Yeah.
ain't talking to me? Why you don't tell? Well, see how you responding? That's why.
Yeah.
You see, that's what
Yeah.
I ain't talking to you.
Yeah.
Right there. You know,
Yeah.
so it had to be some growth and maturity, man, and understanding, and even spiritual and emotional intelligence. Use
Yeah.
that word again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that didn't come overnight. Uh, and so you talk about the risk and the sacrifices that you got to make. You know, and thank God I did stay to see this thing through to the end, and I didn't leave. So to answer your question, Marquise, about um, how long that was a constant battle between God and I. But one of the reasons why I stayed is because I knew that I was spiritually immature, emotionally immature,
Yeah.
and a lot of other immaturities I had, and
Yeah.
things I was trying to get rid of and shake off myself. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a two-way street in that regard. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like we both stayed because we both had every right to roll out. You know what I'm saying? But thank God we did. But I think
You you didn't. The key thing is you didn't just choose to stay and maintain. You chose to grow and to
oh
be
no doubt.
So
and to be
Oh yeah.
open
yeah. Yeah.
to, you know what I'm saying, to be becoming what is needed. That
Yeah.
that's big difference.
You have to
Yeah.
pay the price. You had to
So,
pay the price.
hey, you want to stay and she want to stay if she didn't see any you trying, cause that's one of the big things with women.
And vice versa.
Trying, they gonna stay for a minute. You know what I'm
So
saying? Same with you. Well, I see you trying to get there. You know what I'm saying?
man, this is good.
So,
If I may interject right here,
but
um, but beginning of the month, we were in New Orleans and got to this parking spot and we pulled in and we paid for the parking. Right beside me was a car with a boot on it, and the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said they're illegally parked. Didn't understand it then, but I understand now. That Chief, to what you were saying, that when you had women you could talk to and be vulnerable with, you were legally parked, right?
God, dog, man, come on.
We can hear you, Chief. Keep talking.
I can't hear.
Oh, I can't either. Oh, slew foot Joker.
Golly.
Hey,
So
Chief, if
anyway,
you can hear us, dial back in, bro, cause we
yeah,
lost you.
yeah. So man, check it, bro.
But you got to look for him on the thing, Marquis.
Yeah, I see it when it pop up. So, bro, look, I'm gonna just share real quick, man. So this bothers me because I seen this. Like, I've always been transparent.
Yeah.
I've always like I've got to the point where you know what I'm saying, I try to create a safe space for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily my significant other, or you know what I'm saying. That's in every aspect of my life.
And so I got cut off, fellas.
There
Go
you
ahead,
go.
go ahead.
So what I was saying was, when
Hey,
you're when you're trying to create a safe space, let's connect this. People are gonna tell you of the opposite sex what you want to hear inside of your relationship. The danger and the threat to that is that it draws you away from what you're trying to fix, from the very thing you're trying to fix. So you're illegally parked. And even though I'm in a space where everybody else is, and they're parked here, I'm breaking the law of relationship. You know, now me talking to my sister, my biological sister, is one thing, right? But me talking to a woman who I know that there's a peculiar interest there, or a man who I know there's a peculiar interest there, you're legally parked in those spaces. And when you talk about creating a safe space, when I tell you I had no regrets, I because I did not. I understood, like, I'm giving it all I have. But a lot of times we illegally park ourselves, and when it's time for us to move, we find that we have a boot, right? Because we shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it creates more chaos. So how can I be truthful to you when you found out that you've been talking to him, or you found out that you've been talking to her? It's hard to do that when you have all these outside distractions infiltrating, you know, what you're trying to build. And I know I've been there before. As a man, I can relate. I've been there because you we need somebody to talk to so we can feel okay with. But when it's all said and done, when it all comes up, we find ourselves, oh man, because the question is, how could they give them more than what I gave? Right? And what does that look like to the other person? And so we have to be careful. If we really want this thing to work and grow, we have to be careful how we share and how we respond to people of the opposite sex when we're trying to build something that we think is worth building.
Right. So
That's good. That's good.
So one thing that's on me, how much time we got? We got like 12 minutes. So one thing that's really on me, bro, is I'm really transparent.
Yeah.
I try to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And honest. And so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna tell you what me and my son had a conversation about, him and his female friend.
Okay.
So the situation happened to where, you know, both of them are athletes. He go to practice early in the morning, go to school, then have to come home, do homework, then have to do it all over again the next day. She does the same thing, but
yep.
so they was on the phone, but she was what's the word? She was distracted about something, and he's just like, hey, listen, okay, I'll call. So this is where I'm going. He like, listen, okay, I'll call you later on. I'm about to go shower and do XYZ. If you want to talk to me, just let me know, and and we'll talk later on. No big issue. Now, when it's flipped around and it's the other way around, she got a problem with it. So what? In that regard, y'all get what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then so later on, she end up calling him. He falls asleep, wakes up and see that he missed the call and try to hit her back. She in her feelings all day, all the way to the next morning. So I'm like, I'm like, so what's going on? Like, are y'all gonna talk? Did you apologize? And he was like, I apologized to her, even though, you know what I'm saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I just apologized to her. And so that was that situation. He was like, I know I didn't do anything wrong. I just mistakenly fell asleep. He's like, she do it all the time. And it ain't no big deal for me. But she acting a donkey when it happens, you know what I'm saying, when it happened to me and it's flipped around.
Right.
Another situation happened to where I heard on TikTok, or where I see some things on TikTok when we talk about, okay, for instance, when a man does certain things for a woman, or he responds a certain way for a woman, the woman it's flipped, it's opposite, it's flipped opposite. The woman responds differently, doesn't give him the same grace that he gives her. For me, I don't understand why is it such a big deal if we can't be gracious with one another. When the same thing, when it happens to you, I'm okay with it, and I'm giving you this grace, and I'm showing you love through it, even though I don't agree with it and I don't like it. But when it's flipped on my side, I gotta catch hell about it. So to me, that is not a safe space, and I'm constantly having to die to myself and apologize for you for something that, you know what I'm saying, that I'm really not sorry about, that I may not could have helped at the time, but just to appease you. Am I rambling? Or do you guys?
Tracking. I think we're tracking. Yeah.
Saying
How?
Again, I try to create a safe space. I want to be honest with everything. I want to be clear. I want everything to be clearly communicated. If it's anything missed and you fail to tell me something or to show me something, you know, you don't get mad at me. Can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Don't get upset with me because you failed to communicate it to me.
Right.
I have no understanding and knowledge of what it really is.
Yeah.
So I'm responding off the information you gave me.
Right.
So why am I catching hell and got to apologize to you when I'm trying to identify to you, hey, hold on, wait. Now, if you would have added this information, then I would have understood you better.
Yeah.
Or if you would have fully took time and not be in your emotions, or circle back, even if you was in your emotions, and then give me the full breakdown or communicate it to me clearly, and then you start to talk to me in reference to it, don't get upset with me and pissed off at me because I'm just trying to say, well, okay, I didn't understand what you said, but if you would have said it this way, now and then you get cut off and flip it and get upset with me.
Yeah.
Because as if I'm the issue, when all I'm doing is trying to clarify and let you know what my intention was and that I love you, and you know what I'm saying? It ain't really a deal. If I would have knew better, I would have done better.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm rambling, bro, but I'm just trying to.
You want to get in, or
you see what I'm saying? So creating a safe space.
You know, I get it, and there's a lot there. I'm just Chief. You want to get in on this, and because man, this is there's a lot.
Y'all see
that's layers of stuff right there.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
What?
That's layers of stuff. Man, I don't even know where to start really, but
like, what do you do with that? Like, I mean,
I think the first thing is one, you have to understand your partner. You got to know who they are, know how they function, how they operate. Naturally, women are emotional than we're physical. So you give us a problem, you give us we trying to find an answer. That's our first instinct is all right, find a solution for that problem. Yeah. Their first instinct is to be in their feelings. So I know that about them. So now I've got to ensure that I preposition my response accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to try to minimize that as much as possible. Because I already know that your instinct causes you to respond that way. Mm-hmm. So I got to deal with that. I can't perpetuate that. I got to try to de-conflict.
Yeah.
In that situation. So that's first thing. Then with oh, you talk about your son and everything else. So what I would like to know what you tell him in that situation, how to handle that situation.
Yeah.
When he apologized, I actually started because where I am right now, I'm at a place where, because that's what I would normally do. But I'm at a place where now I'm sorry for what? I ain't finna apologize for nothing. I ain't trying to explain. I'm apologizing to you for when I'm always apologizing to you when it comes to this, even when I ain't did nothing wrong. And all I'm doing is trying to let's walk through it. You know me, I want to walk line by line, precept upon precept of what the communication went wrong at. And then when I try to point out and I say, oh, okay, so this wasn't communicated to me. You know what I'm saying? Well, you right. It wasn't communicated to you, but XYZ. Now you just said but XYZ. And then when you said but, you misspoke. And then I come back and let you know that ain't necessarily exactly right, because I got receipts saying that, this done happened before, but you saying that it ain't. I'm not arguing with you about it. We just going line upon line, precept upon precept, so we can get this understanding of what's going on. I'm clueless about what you really said that you would communicate to me. And as we walk through it, she realized that, you know what? I can see how you have that could have been XYZ. And then you go on to try to not get more information, but to let her know, okay, this is where I am, and if you would have did XYZ, now everything blows up.
Nah, you should have told your son.
Now, with that, when I told my son, see, I don't want all out because I'm.
You sure did.
So what I told my son, I was like, son, you know what? You did the right thing. And guess what he said? Because he get this job from me. He was like, Dad, whether I was right or wrong, I'm just apologize because I just want to keep the peace. And I was like, son, you know what? You right. That's what you supposed to do. But he in the beginning of this thing. So I get it. But after years and years of keeping the peace and constantly bound down like that, wait, hold up. You ain't what you not finna do. You not finna keep getting upset with me and putting it all on me and you know what I'm saying? I'm not pointing the finger or anything like that. I'm just trying to communicate why I responded the way I responded, because my response wasn't the way the individual wanted me to respond, and that was based upon misinformation and not understanding.
Yeah. So there's a difference. So I as men, we have to learn what's crazy and what's cute.
What?
Right? We have to learn what's crazy and we have to learn what's cute. That whole scenario, your son is cute.
Right.
But to him, it looks crazy. Fact of the matter is, she cares so much about him that I want to hear from you tonight. It didn't come off that way. The optics doesn't present that.
Right.
But if we don't look into the thing, then we'll just see crazy. We won't see cute. We won't see they love me or they care. It's hard to see it when I'm being interrogated as to why you didn't call me. It's our responsibility to take that question and be like, man, I'm not going to escalate. She's doing this because she loves me, or he's doing it because he loves me. And we have to respond understanding why they did it and not how they did it.
Right.
That's the challenge. We have to respond understanding why they did it and not how. You can scream you love somebody and they'll never believe you because of how you did it. Right. But if we change how, if I know you're in this place and you're saying this because of this reason. So because I know that, it goes to why you tripping to, I know you love me and that's why this is happening. And, and I get it. And so I'm just grateful that you love me the way you do that. You actually, brought this up. We have to change our response. We have to help them come out of, and I use crazy very loosely. I don't want to offend nobody, but we have to help people come out of those places so they can actually understand how they are and why they are the way they are. Right. Because, you can be shopping, you can be hanging with the fellas. Right? You don't expect your wife to say, where you at and how long you gonna be there? You don't expect that anymore, right? What you expect is, hey baby, I'm checking on you. Now all of us can say that there was a time where the text message didn't say that.
Ooh-wee.
Right? So we have to know like what's crazy and what's cute. And a lot of times we have to help people come out of those places with how we respond back to them. We have to help them change how they check on us.
Yeah. That's why the first thing I said was you got to know your spouse, or know your audience, know who you're dealing with, and how when you know them, then you adjust your response accordingly, as to keep the situation deflected. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it, bro.
But my thing is, sometimes you can get so emotional, even though sometimes the individual can be so emotional that they don't hear anything that you're saying, and that's my issue.
Doesn't matter if they don't hear you.
That ain't got to do how you respond.
Doesn't matter if they don't hear you. What matters is you're intentional enough to understand where they're coming from, whatever place that is, and you respond the right way. It's up to them to do something different after that point. But as long as you see where they are and you don't lose yourself, you don't come off of your square, these people, they're only going to respond one or two ways. There are no other options. And so it doesn't matter what they do with the information,
because I just got shut down and didn't want to be talked to no more. And
that's okay.
And all I'm doing is trying to, I get it. I understand. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I understand. However, that wasn't communicated to me. But it's like, I mean, you're saying, but that's not entirely true. And all I want to do is XYZ, and this why I responded this way, XYZ.
Yeah, there's so much in that, man. I mean, when you are with people, you can identify what's resentment and what's really because I care. And they sometimes they can sound the same, but when you find yourself always at that place of contention, 9 out of 10, that's resentment more than concern, right? But when you introduce a conversation or an explanation and people actually yielded to what you're saying, you can tell that's out of concern. So you have to see the signals. You have to understand okay, they responding this way, so that's concern. Or if they're still crazy after I'm giving them my answer, then that's resentment. And when you are with someone and you have a history and a past, those two things can happen at the same time. I love them, but I hate them. Those two things can happen at the same time. And when somebody has a resentment towards you, they're going to answer you about why dishes in the sink, right? That's going to be a thing. Or they're going to be like, oh, they were tired, so they didn't wash the dishes tonight. That's concern. And they're two different spaces. And it happens all the time. Our responsibility is to understand where those places are coming from. Because if it's resentment, we should address resentment. We should not keep coming from a place of concern when somebody is really coming from a place of resentment, if I'm making sense. Like, if all you're giving me is resentment, why am I still showing you concern? We need to go put it on pause. Hey, you're talking like you resent me or something. We need to talk about that. Like, what happened? So it's two different things, because we look at it like, oh, let me maintain the peace, because that's what men want to do, right? But if we're not careful in those situations, it builds and builds and builds, and you resent a person, or a person resents you because you never stop to address, is this coming from a place of concern, or did something happen that makes you resent me like this? And it's two different things.
Hey, listen, I'm still stuck over here like, what happened?
Yeah.
I'm stuck over here like, and then but I have to be at peace, because I'm like, man, what else I'm supposed to do? Like, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I really knew, my response would have been different, and I would have did, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think.
And sometimes, man, you have to wait until they're in a better place mentally and emotionally, and then go back and readdress the situation. I can't tell you how many times my wife and I have had heated fellowship, and it got so heated to where I knew continuing the conversation was going to get us anywhere but further down that rabbit hole. So I just pull up, or she will pull up when it was me on the other end, and it had got so out of hand to where she responded inappropriately, or I responded inappropriately. But after we came down, I went back, or she came back, say, "Hey, babe, you know what? When we had that discussion, my response was totally out of order, out of place. You know what I'm saying? I sincerely apologize for responding that way. I was blah blah blah. I was in this headspace, or I was thinking this, or blah blah blah, and we fixed it. But what I'm noticing now that we're older, is I don't let things fester nowhere near as long as I used to. Yeah. But I'm talking about same day, same hour, same, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Time with space. I'm like, hey, babe, no, we gotta fix this. Hey, that response was totally out of character. I don't know what I was thinking, but babe, I apologize, because no ma'am, no ma'am. Or she does the same thing. So where it used to be, days, no conversation. I mean, we've never, in 25 years of being married, we never slept in a different room or in a different bed. Never. But we have went to bed many nights without talking to one another and being mad at each other. So never do that again. Them days over with. Right. No sir.
Hey, right. So I'm the type of person, when I'm wrong, and y'all know this, when I'm wrong, I'm gonna accept it. I'm gonna accept accountability for it when I'm wrong, period. Mm-hmm. If I done said something out of line and didn't realize it at the time, if I'm wrong, or if I reacted in a way, I'm going to apologize for that. Right. I'm going to hold myself accountable for that. Right. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. And I think also, never mind. It's we over an hour right now, so we gotta we still 7 people on. So apparently, the conversation is needed, I guess. Cause we still got 7 people viewing.
Yeah, I was responding to some folks in the chat, man. A few comments.
Yeah, what we got?
I can't post them, but I can at least tell you what they said. So from the beginning of the conversation,
Yeah, hold on.
somebody responded about many church folks are a certain way in church, acting totally different, but yet in public, some like the direct opposite. So of course we addressed that. And then one of our regulars, Miss Jerry, she said that I have to agree with you. It takes hearing this from men for it to really make sense and hit different. Thank you, gentlemen. And that's when I think Coach Chief was going in, explaining that, his analogies are always on point.
They be on it, boy. Spot on for real.
And then my mama came on. She said, love your response. Understanding is mellow. So yeah, man, had eight viewers tonight total. When we were in conversation. So really, really appreciate all you guys who tuned in. Yeah. Please share the video, man. So those who who are in situations like many of the things we discussed tonight. Happy to hear your feedback, even if it's after the fact or you go back and watch it or share it with somebody else. Tell them to leave some feedback. Let us know what they think about the show and what topics they would like us to cover. Talk more about. I want to go in more depth on. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. This show wouldn't be a show without you guys, so we definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, we thank God for you. We do. You sure?
Oh.
Yes, sir. That's Daddy. That's it. Oh yeah, yes, sir. There he is. There he is. And don't you cut a hair off of it. Don't you cut a hair off of it. That's right. Let it grow. Don't you cut it. Don't you put no razor on that boy head. You just got you talking about Samson.
Hey, who gonna pray us out, man?
Yeah, man, I will.
Okay.
Father, we thank you for this evening, for this time, God, for this opportunity to share. We thank you for the ones who tuned in. God, I pray that something we said, God, would be beneficial, that they could take back and use in their own relationship, their own lives, oh God, to become better fathers, wives, parents, dads, brothers, and even friends, God. We just thank you for this time of fellowship, for this time of learning and wisdom. And God, we just pray that until we meet again, that you go with us, be with us, protect us and our families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, man, you know what? Before I end this live, I realized through your prayer that I'm hurt by that situation.
Say again?
I'm hurt by that situation.
I know. It came out.
Yeah. It kind of
that was very clear.
Like the entire
I'm all that. I'm angry.
Yeah, that was very clear.
Yeah.
I'll pray for your boy. Peace.
Yeah, man. Hey man, I'm here. Let's talk.
Yeah, go ahead and end this live. We can talk.